for me now, where I'm at now, and the development I've had from reading hundreds of books, taking tens of courses, watching YouTube videos all day long, like just being an information junkie for the last few years, it's like, does this person have what I want in whatever aspect it is?
Mm.
If yes, I'll listen to them. If no, I'm not going to listen to them. But when you're at the start, like most people are at a higher stage than you. So you can learn from everybody who's ahead of you until you're ahead of everybody else. Not to say I'm ahead of everybody else, but you know what I mean, right?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that you are pretty much ahead of everybody else that at least we know, right? I mean, unless it's like Bill, right?
Again, as soon as you start believing that you can't learn anything from somebody else, you let things hold you back. You can learn from everybody, almost everybody. I'm never going to say a flat out no to an opportunity if I feel like it's something that's going to align with my goals going forward. The numbers are right. Yeah, like sales for me, I enjoy it. I don't think anybody can last in this space if you don't figure out a way to somewhat enjoy it. Like, sure, the money is fantastic, but it does get to a point where like the money isn't worth it anymore. Like my June, when I was working 7 days a week and like cracked over 40K a month, like, yeah, fucking unbelievable. Made more money than I made in a year when I was an engineer, but it was miserable. Right. So you need to understand exactly what you want. And if something aligns with what I want, yeah, I'll do it.
Nah, wait, we have to someone, Sam, give him an intro there.
What?
Well,
No.
which Sam?
Hold up, bro.
Fuck me.
No, this is recorded. If that's what you're wondering.
Yeah.
Now the Fathom note taker, bro. No.
All right, fire ahead.
Yeah.
Nice, so, Sammy, go ahead, boy.
Okay, guys, we're on episode 9 with a special guest that we've known for quite a while. The James Hayes. I guess all of us we're all, just for context, we're all in the same coaching program, and James happens to be that coach. We were just talking, actually, like Shawnee just mentioned that like we've all been in there longer than you, or longer than the time it took for you to actually become a coach, and yet you've been in high ticket for like maybe just over a year, if anything, which is right. That's like fucking impressive. So
it's insane.
But yeah, anyway, that's the intro.
Rock solid intro.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
Rock solid intro. Just on that, Jimmy, though, what does it take to actually become that good so quick? You know, because like there's been so many people who came through the program, I guess, us all included, and so many other people that come through, and they just like you just kind of hit a certain level just so quick.
See, people ask me this question all the time, and I don't know, is it imposter syndrome or what it is, but like I still don't feel that level of ability when it comes to sales. Like the reason I say that is that we come on coaching calls and you'll see Bill like do an objection handler, and I'm just sitting there like, I know nothing about sales, right? But to answer your question directly, Shawnee, I think I didn't have an option. By the time I got in the box, like people have heard my story before. I sent Bill everything I had, and it wasn't enough to start. Like I had to go out there and sell my kayaks, my fucking pride and joy, and the only hobby that I really enjoyed doing during the 2 years of lockdown. The only thing that kept me sane, I had to sell them and lock myself up in a room for months. And I had to be successful. I had to make sales to pay off the rest of the program. So I didn't have an option. So I think for me, that's what it was. It's like you put your back against the wall, you just have to make shit happen. But it's funny because I always contradict myself. I don't recommend that pack for anybody because the stress that it puts you under, and it's just not an intelligent way to do things. Like if I have my time back, people have seen the post I made. It's like, just work a casual job where your bills are looked after and focus on your skill set. You focus on your skill set. You don't need to be desperate in terms of taking offers, and all the problems that people face in this industry. You can sidestep a lot of them by being smart about the journey. But again, hindsight is 2020, like everything else.
There's also the flip side of that, right? Because you put yourself in that position, you have to make it work. Where you've got that steady check coming in, that 2K, 3K every single month. You know, you don't have the same. So what if I don't get it? If I miss a couple of calls, right? You know, I'm still getting paid. So, you know, there's two sides to the coin.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. I think it depends on your personality and it depends how you do things. Like a lot of people thrive under negative pressure, like negative thinking. Like a lot of people, if they talk shit to themselves, they do better. Whereas other people thrive in positive energy. And that's something I learned, as a coach as well, on the coaching side of things. Like, some people prefer being told that they're shit and they're worthless and like, get your finger out of your ass and make shit happen. Whereas other people need more of that arm around the shoulder. So it depends on your personality, I feel, because I was learning about sales when I was working in McLaren, but I wasn't succeeding at all. I burned the boats and failed nonstop for 6 months, and then I finally actually made stuff happen. So,
what did you do for the 6 months? Were you just like closing, setting, outbound?
Setting outbound, cold calls, DMs, Instagram, everything.
Everything,
yeah.
Did you feel that prepared you for closing, or like, let's say someone is, at the brink of either, thinking of, well, do I go all in to closing, or do I just stab as a setter, as a triager?
I think it's incredibly valuable to learn the skill set, but more importantly, to learn the work ethic. Because when you're cold calling, like, the emotional side of sales is something that people don't talk enough about. And like cold calling or door knocking, if you're in the US, you can do solar or something like that, where you have to face rejection nonstop on a daily basis. Like, it builds that muscle. So I see this on coaching calls all the time as well. I feel like a lot of people struggle to ask difficult questions or sit in the pocket and handle objections because they're afraid of facing the rejection or upsetting somebody. And if you do something like cold calling or door to door, where like that's part of the game, like the only guarantee is that you're going to be rejected, it builds that muscle and it gives you that exposure therapy to be like, I didn't die. Like, I don't have a scar. There's no damage to me. Somebody just told me to fuck off. Like, can we curse on these calls? I'm not sure. If that's,
you can. Yeah.
Get demonetized on YouTube or whatever it is.
Demonetized, bro. Don't worry.
Cool.
We're not there yet, bro. Soon we're going to Hormozy.
Yeah, I would say if you want to make money yesterday, closing is obviously the best place to go. But again, it's what we talk about all the time. If you don't have the skills, you're just going to get kicked off the offer because you can't keep up with the big boys. So if you ever want to go into sales management, like understanding what a triager has to go through, understanding what a setter has to go through, like, it's all skills. It's skill stacking. It's what Hormozy talks about all the time. Like, stack your skills, you stack your money.
And like, when you were getting rejected on those outbounds, do you feel like that has also helped you? Because I always kind of think back to what you were saying. I think it was like your first couple of months inside, with Bill. And I just remember you were saying you keep burning leads, you keep pushing to the extreme where people you're kind of burning leads. So that's where I was going to that other extreme, because in the past I was with NEPQ, I was very like people pleasing, all that stuff. Yeah. So like, what actually helped you go from this position where you were burning leads, like, being super combative, to like coming back and I suppose like being more composed? And
well, there's more to that story, because before I was burning all those leads, I was also people pleasing. But 6 months of making no money turns you a bit jaded when it comes to this industry.
Sure.
And you stop giving a fuck about what people think of you, and you stop caring what like people are going to say. So I started off, I was like, oh, you want to think about it? Yeah, that's fine. Let me book out another call for you tomorrow. And then they no-show, like everybody else does. Right. So you learn that stuff the hard way. Like, you only do that a certain amount of times. You only look at your bank account a certain number of months in a row when it still says 0, to where you're like, oh, fuck this. If somebody's going to give me BS on a call, like, I'm going to call them out on it and I'm going to push them to the brink. But then again, that's not a sustainable way to run your sales. So it's finding that balance in the middle. That's what I say to people all the time. People are generally naturally more people pleasing. So if you can learn to push it too hard the other way, then you'll be able to find the balance point in the middle.
There you go. So on your calls now, do you ever just, like, at what point would you book in a follow-up call if you're getting nowhere on the call? Or do you even do that anymore? Do you just go all in and kind of just focus on the next call?
Barring very rare exceptions, if somebody gives me some sort of down payment on the call, I'll book in a follow-up call. Otherwise, no mass.
Really? Yeah, that's it. Gone.
That's it.
Fair enough.
Game over. I'll put them in a nurture sequence or something, but if they're kicking tires, Like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to be, hey, I'm just checking in. Like, no, that's not a valid use of my time. Get fucked.
Yeah.
I'm not going to care about your goals more than you do.
Mm.
That's
How
that's a fucking powerful.
how are you actually finding living in Portugal, by the way?
I love it, man. Oh, I love
Yeah.
this place so much.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
what about the standing up desk? Has that done anything to your sales calls? Is that the first time you're taking calls from a standing up desk?
I don't think it's had much of an effect on my sales calls, to be honest, but it definitely has more of an effect like my posture, my health, and just feeling better, like not getting up at the end of a day and feeling like my back's in bits.
Mm.
And I have like I'll put it down when I'm doing like deep work or learning or stuff. Like I'll have it down and I'll have it facing the window, and then when I take sales calls, I stand it up. So there's probably an element to it where it's like having your state or whatever. It's like I'm standing up now, or we're going into sales mode. But I haven't really noticed much of a difference, to be honest.
Just on that, considering like where you are, how much hours are you putting in like every week to still learn and still education, stuff like that?
That's a great question, man. For me, coaching took over a lot of the learning. I'm not sure if you've heard this thing before, but it's like if you really want to test if you understand something, you teach it. If you can teach it, then you really understand it. So I started noticing things about sales that I never noticed before when I started coaching people, right? Outside of that, it's not very structured, to be honest. And that might be a falling down on my behalf in terms of time management and taking on too much, both inside sales and outside of sales in terms of business and investing and other things like that I'm trying to learn to, have more leverage and things like that. Also moving countries doesn't help things, and tax and everything else and figuring all that stuff out. But on that, I feel like time management is probably one of the most important skills in sales. When you get to a certain level where you're not worried about being able to get offers anymore or anything like that, it's like time management and actually being able to develop your skills.
How do you manage your time? That's kind of, since I've been on two, because I was on one offer for the longest time. So usually it was just always the afternoon shifts. And now I'm working with Valentine. So it's like 10 to 10. And that's one thing I'm kind of struggling with, is managing my time, going to the gym, because you're completely booked out. So how do you kind of do your time management?
Yeah. On the gym side of things, I'd just put that in your calendar and not have anything booked out. Because if you stop training, now it's not to say that you need to be training 7 days a week for 2 hours a day in the gym. Like if you're 2 hours in the gym, you're not training hard enough. I don't care what anyone says. But like the times you are in the gym, and like you can get fantastic results training 3 days a week. But put that time in your calendar and prioritize it, and do not give up your health for sales, because it will affect your performance. Right. 100%. So I'd say just put that in your calendar, and like nothing else comes ahead of that. Figure out what time you need to put in order to look after your health, because everything will fall to shit if your health isn't being looked after. And I have really strong thoughts on this, actually, productivity and everything else, because people talk about morning routines and the ice baths and the 2 hours of sauna and everything else. Having nested fucking Tick and Notion and what's it called, Trello boards and everything else. Apple Notes and Google Calendar. That's it. At the end of my day, I'm like, okay, what did I do today? Like where can I improve? What can I improve for tomorrow? What do I need to accomplish tomorrow? I'll do my power list. What are 5 things I need to do tomorrow? I put them in my calendar. I look at what calls I've booked. I fit in whatever I need to do, and I just get it done that way. And you're not fucking around with 16 different Notion tabs and Trello boards and project management software and everything else. Like it's taking up more time by having all these things. So for me, like people have differing opinions on it. They can say whatever they want. I know it works for me. Like less is more in that regard. So Apple Notes and Google Calendar, change your life.
Yeah, you don't need much else than that, huh? I see so many people have like you said, Notion boards, all things like broken down. It's like, bro, how do you even manage it? You spend like 2 hours a day just managing everything on the Trello board or
I've done it. Like that's how I just threw everything else out. I was like, there's too much going on here.
So you don't have a 2 hour morning routine, no?
No, I don't have a 2 hour morning routine.
No 10-minute ice bath in the morning, Jimmy. Bro, straight to work, huh?
I'm curious on that, right? How did you survive 75 hard? And follow-up question for that is like, would you actually do it again?
I don't think I'd do it again. And the reason I say that, this is for me. I'm not saying it for anybody else. The thing with 75 hard, I feel like the people who get the most benefit from it are people who don't already prioritize their health. right? If they're eating like shit all the time, they don't train, they're unfit, like they're extremely unhealthy habits and everything like that. Like putting that structure in place to where it's like if you eat a cheat meal on day 69, like you're back to the start kind of a thing. It really holds people accountable. But that was never a struggle for me. Like I think the biggest struggle for me in terms of not doing things that I know I should be doing is stuff like follow-ups. It's stuff like putting people in nurture sequences or actually managing my time, texting leads in advance and stuff like that. Like that's the stuff I needed to work on. And 75 hard took away from that stuff for me. Because I'd sit there, I'd be down to do a follow-up block and I'm like, fuck, I have to do my second workout. And I go outside. And then you do it and you come back, you eat and you shower and everything else. And you're like, okay, I'm going to bed. I'm done. Right. Yeah. So for me specifically, I wouldn't do it again because it's not solving my bottlenecks. But it's definitely a good thing for people to do if they always feel like they're in a position where they're not doing what they know they need to be doing. Because most people know what they need to be doing in any aspect of life, but it's the accountability that's missing. And rather than paying a PT or paying a coach thousands of dollars to do it, like you just do 75 hard. And don't lie to yourself. Don't cheat.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? You know, how did you feel after it? Because I know for me, I was like probably at the best I've been 75 hard, you know, 2 workouts. I was loving life, you know, I was more mental clarity than anything. And since then, I've just gotten so fucking lazy. The last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've just gotten so lazy. It's the worst. Stop working.
I felt like it was a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Again, like training has never been the issue for me. I still go to the gym. I still train. I still prioritize my health. The one thing I will say is I ate a fuckload of ice cream and pastries and stuff like that. Junk food for me has never been an issue, like pizzas, chips, and fast food, all that stuff. Like I happily go the rest of my life without eating a pizza. Easy stuff.
What?
It's sugar.
That's
it's
crazy.
Sugar for me. Like
That's
sugar
crazy.
for me is the killer. I had like a pint of Häagen-Dazs every day for that week after 75 hard. It was fantastic.
I've been drinking Coke all day ever since. It's bad. It's bad, yeah. But that was the only thing that I actually found hard because, like, it's kind of like what you said, right? Like, you know, the exercise stuff, like the diet, like that. I was already doing it anyway, and then reading all that stuff, that's easy. But to start drinking, like, was it 3 gallons of water?
You drank 3 gallons of water a day.
No.
Well, how much is it?
Fucking madman. It's 1 gallon.
It's 1 gallon.
Oh,
1 US gallon. There's
1
no way.
US gallon. Yeah, no, no,
you need to get
that would
some
be insane.
potassium in your system.
Yeah. So, but to change that and not touch any sort of sweet drink for 75 days straight, knowing, you know, before I was pretty much drinking 1 bottle of Coke a day. That was the hardest thing. Yeah, I was restless for like the first 3 weeks.
Bro, Coke's not even that nice.
It is.
I will say now I don't really have cravings for sweet things as much as I used to. Like something like Josh Lars will tell you this. I saw a fucking jelly shop down the street last week and I was like, this looks amazing. I bought them, I ate like 2 of them and I was like, this is disgusting. I threw them in the bin. You know?
Yeah.
Like I get to a point where it's like, these are all cravings. I actually don't like it. I actually enjoy like a well-cooked, well-seasoned steak a lot more than like a bar of chocolate or something. Like my body agrees with it better. So like, I think there has been permanent changes to how I actually see food and nutrition, but we're really getting off the topic of sales here.
Yeah. Speaking on that side, you know, knowing there's so many people that come in and out of the box, and you pretty much like the, I guess, flagship of the program in that sense, you know, being the head coach. Has that opened the doors that you feel like you wouldn't have had the chance to open otherwise if you weren't the coach?
Yeah, 100%. No, but like nobody can deny that. Like the reputation that being a coach for Bill gives you, no, it's obviously earned. Like he doesn't just bring people in.
Of course.
It's like you have to fucking show the skill and show the work ethic and everything else. But yeah, 100%. It's absolutely open doors. You know, when you say to people on interviews and stuff like you're a coach, and they do things. They fire people off their team to get you in. So
to what capacity? Like what was the, I guess, like a most extreme example?
Well, the 2 offers that I recently just brought on, they had to fire their team members to get me in because they didn't have the capacity.
Bro.
Like Salzburg, you don't have a job anymore, but if you want to get better, hit me up.
Just because you're, I guess, on that, right? Because you're a coach, would you ever do someone else's training program, or do you feel like you have everything you need with Bill?
I don't think you ever feel like you have everything you need. As soon as you
Yeah.
start believing you have everything you need, you stop growing, you start dying. Like Bill is always investing into coaching himself in different aspects of business. Like I'm never going to have a big enough ego, and I have a pretty fucking big ego, boys. Like I'm never going to have a big enough ego to feel like I know it all.
Yeah, I got you.
So
Like,
like as far as, sorry, go on, Shani.
No, I was going to say there's so much to learn, right? You know, because just more tools to the toolbox, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%.
What is the criteria for you, Jimmy, for like because it's not gonna be just a conventional, you know, sales trainers out there, right? How do you actually absorb knowledge from someone? Like, when do you know you want to start learning from this person, or you actually take some of what they say and you take that into an account? Because like what I found is like there's so much knowledge out there that it can be even harmful to have all of this knowledge, because it's just going to be contradicting. Some people say, you know, go this way, some people say go the other way. It's like, for you, like how do you kind of, you know, vet that?
That's a great question. I think there's stages to it. I think at the start, like you don't have enough knowledge. It's the whole 4 stages of awareness thing. It's like there's unconscious incompetence, there's conscious incompetence, there's conscious competence, and then unconscious. Unconscious competence.
Yeah, unconscious. Yeah,
whatever it was. Yeah, you Sam edit it later and figure it out. Right. But it's like when you start in something new, like you don't have the authority to say whether somebody's bullshitting or not. So you have to rely on other people's opinions. Now, a lot of other people's opinions are bullshit. Like I'm a massive fan of Grant Cardone. I've been on a binge of his stuff recently, and like so many people hate on that guy, but none of them are more successful than him. So for me now, where I'm at now, and the development I've had from reading hundreds of books, taking tens of courses, watching YouTube videos all day long, like just being an information junkie for the last few years, it's like, does this person have what I want in whatever aspect it is? If yes, I'll listen to them. If no, I'm not going to listen to them. But when you're at the start, like most people are at a higher stage than you. So you can learn from everybody who's ahead of you until you're ahead of everybody else. Not to say I'm ahead of everybody else, but you know what I mean, right?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that you are pretty much ahead of everybody else that at least we know, right? I mean, unless it's like Bill, right?
Again, as soon as you start believing that you can't learn anything from somebody else, you let things hold you back. You can learn from everybody, almost everybody.
So here's a question: Do you obviously you teach everyone the high performance, like how to actually perform at such a high level? Do you ever find yourself learning something from a student?
All the time. People ask me questions that stump me, and I'm like, oh shit, I've never actually thought of that. And I'll formulate an answer, and if I don't have an answer for them there, like I'll go back and I'll figure it out, and I'll get back to them over DMs. It's one of those things, like it's the whole unconscious competence side of things. When you've done something for so long and somebody asks you, like say when I do an example on a role play, and they're like, oh, but did you say this because of this? I'm like, did I say this because of this? I have no idea. I just said it because it felt right at the time, right? And like Bill does that at a totally different level. Like that man cannot be stumped by an objection. Or sometimes I get stumped and I'm like, well, I'll think about it for a few seconds and I'll have something to go with. So short answer to your question, yeah, all the time.
And on that, and like on Bill, like in objection handling, how do you feel about people that say the only reason the objections come up is because you haven't handled it at first in the call? So just like, you know, coming from that pre-handling objection side, right? What would you say to those people?
I'd say to those people that they're just not living in reality. Because a lot of people who are promoting it aren't even in sales anymore.
No.
A lot of the other people promoting it are on absolute lay down offers where the marketing does all the work for them. Right? If you're on an offer where everything is dialed in, the marketing is fucking rock solid, you're able to disqualify people who aren't laydowns on a set call, fantastic. go ahead and close everybody in 5 minutes, do what you want to do. But that's not going to solve the problems that 80% of the people in the industry are facing.
No.
And 80% of those people in the industry, if you ask them if they take 10 calls, how many of those calls end up in objections?
Every single one of them.
The
Majority
numbers
of
tell
them.
the story. The numbers tell the story. Like, you can ask 100 closers. In the last 100 calls you've taken, how many of those calls had objections? Right? It's going to be a massive chunk.
Yeah.
So there's the dreams that people want to sell you, and there's the reality. I only deal in reality. Like, I went through enough bullshit in my first 6 months in the industry to where I was jaded by everything, and I realized what was real, and real recognize is real every day of the week. So
yeah,
results.
It's funny.
Results
it's funny.
tell the story.
Yeah, it's funny you say you get jaded, because like me, Sam, and Sean, we basically started off at the same point, right? We didn't really get a direction. We just kind of got only introduced to this space, but we were just kind of like, stumbling from the left and right. So why didn't you quit though? Like, after those 6 months, right? Like, why not just go back to the to working at McLaren, right? Because like for the people that don't have, and I'm not not future facing and not custom and action year, but like, because
we have a great
that's always,
story for this.
yeah, because that's always been an option, right? Like, you always could have come back there, because maybe not side, sorry, but like, to give some more context, right? Like, I mean, maybe you can touch on this as well. It's like the first couple of months, like being jaded, I think you made like 2K in those 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around that 2 to 3K. I can't remember exactly. That's not per month, by the way. That's total.
Yeah. Like, why not just, what went through your head that you were like, okay, I'm gonna ditch this. I'm not gonna go back to the McLaren thing, McLaren job, and just gonna, not only even that, you also went ahead and invested in Bill like heavily, where you couldn't afford it, right?
Yeah. Like, this story can go for 5 minutes or it can go for 55 minutes, because there's so much that happened in that 6 months in terms of me trying to figure out a path forward. But I'll give you the shorter version of it. When I was doing the cold calling and the setting and the IGDMs and the cold email and all that for setting and making phone call, my week, at the end of every week, I used to go to the beach in Cork, Myrtleville it's called, with a journal and just brain dump, in terms of like just getting all the shit out of my head from the week and figuring out like what my plans are. And there was one of those days in around October where I'd written in my journal and everything else, like, okay, I'm going to go and figure out a way to get some sort of a job and then learn the sales skills on the side, or go and become an online PT, because I had a PT qualification at the time as well. And I went home because I already had engineering job offers from interviews I had been doing, because I was keeping all options open during that time period. And I went home and I opened up my laptop to reply to accept an engineering offer. I went into my email, into my inbox, and I had an email from the Hustlers University email list. And I fucking wish I still had this email, but I deleted it ages ago. Knowing where I've come to now, I fucking wish I still had it so I could document the journey better. But I can't remember exactly what it said, but the gist of the message was, you can fail 100 times, you can fail 1,000 times, you can fail 20,000 times, but until you quit, you haven't actually failed. And if you do quit, you're fucking worthless, basically. That, how Tate talks, but that's basically what his message was. As long as you're not a quitter,
able to find that email,
you still have worth. As long as you're not a quitter, you still have worth. As soon as you quit on yourself, you quit on your dreams, you are absolutely worthless. You are useless as bat. Well, all the kind of Tate speech, but
yeah,
I can picture him saying it.
Yeah, but that email hit me right between the eyes. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're sitting here accepting defeat? No, this isn't what's happening." That was the catalyst, and that set me off on the journey with the box and everything else. So,
damn.
Did you
Wild.
see the box before you actually got into it? Did you see what was it that stopped you from jumping in sooner?
It's probably the beliefs that a lot of salespeople have. Oh, it's just about the offer kind of a thing. A lot of different things. I was just jaded with the industry in general. And I was going through all the NAPQ podcasts and the free content and the YouTube videos and everything else. And that was where I first heard of Bill. It was on one of those podcast episodes. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's an Irish guy who's actually doing good money in this industry. Maybe it's not all bollocks. But that was over the 6-month period. Like, this wasn't something out of the blue. So I was aware of Bill. I was aware of the box. But I was just jaded by sales training. Because there was ones I've been through. I had heard people talking about RCA and like paying all this money and not actually getting the outcomes that they want. I was just jaded by sales training. But there's such a truth to the statement that people don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. Don't know what it was. It's something about Bill. It just gave me that confidence that, like, if I actually invested this time, I'm actually going to get the result.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. I agree with that statement big time. Because the reason I got into the box was because of the interview I seen with you and Bill. I was like, oh, two Irish guys, if they can do it, then like, why can't I? You know,
we can't lie.
No. It's not too many Irish people in the space.
Yeah, I remember Sean, you mentioned that like you saw like maybe a free training Bill did, and it was just kind of the energy he gave you, or the perspective almost, and then like you closed your next call that you had.
Yeah, I just seen it like a 5-second reel and watched it. Well, not even 5 seconds. I can't remember. It was some reel he put out, and then I literally watched it, went on to my next call, and just kind of was, fuck it, and then closing the deal for like, it was only like $750. My commission was like $100. Was like, fuck, this shit works. And it was like, then seeing that, then the algorithm started showing me the content, and I watched the hour-long interview with you saying, you sold the kayaks, and I was like, fuck, have my rent money, I just do it.
Run the boats.
That's it.
Literally had a guy in Romania, exact same situation today. He's like, I have no idea how I'm going to make the payment in December, but let's do this.
For elite or family?
When you actually fucking fulfill on your promises, like, people know. It might take them a little bit of time to realize it, but as Bill says all the time, like, we talk our shit, but we back it up every step of the way. We're the only company out there who's pumping out testimonials all day, every single day. I'm not here to shill for the box by any means, but like, if you're watching this and you're in high ticket sales, like, I talk straight with everything I do. Like, there's too many bullshitters in the online space in general, which is why I always have a love-hate relationship with it. And I've quit offers in the past when I found out shady things about offers. No matter how much money I'm making, if I find something shady, I'm like, it's not worth your integrity.
Just on that, that's kind of my position I'm in now, because you're saying stuff on, when do you know what actually... I know, yeah. Maybe I shall. I'll leave. I'll leave it till the coaching call. Yeah, there is so many BS offers out there, like offers, coach programs. That's kind of, look, we all came from the same coaching program. 10K 90 days. Like, one student in the whole coaching group got it. It's
right?
Yeah, probably by selling the actual program itself.
Partially, but he didn't really go the closing route, has he?
Who?
Right. Well, like that one student.
Yeah, he went more sales management. Actually, on that, would you ever get into sales management, Jimmy? You're just happy staying a closer or sales professional, whatever you want to call yourself.
No. There's no way, dude.
If I feel like
he's back. Yeah.
Where did you lose me?
Back. You just better start talking.
Oh, fuck. I'm never going to say a flat out no to an opportunity if I feel like it's something that's going to align with my goals going forward. The numbers are right. Yeah. Like, sales for me, I enjoy it. I don't think anybody can last in this space if you don't figure out a way to somewhat enjoy it. Like, sure, the money is fantastic, but it does get to a point where, like, the money isn't worth it anymore. Like, my June, when I was working 7 days a week and like cracked over 40K a month, like, yeah, fucking unbelievable. Made more money than I made in a year when I was an engineer, but it was miserable, right? So you need to understand exactly what you want. And if something aligns with what I want, yeah, I'll do it. So I can't say a blanket, yes, I want to get into sales management, or a blanket, no, I'd never do it. Really just depends on time, money, freedom, everything else.
Money, freedom, right? 3 things we talked
about.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. How's Carl going for you? Have you doing any work on that at all, or that can just
bit by bit?
Yeah, you're still meditating, saying your affirmations.
No, I jumped on one of the team calls one week and I told him it was a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about like, how do we make it better accountability? And they were like, oh, let's do a 10,000 steps challenge. I sat there like, this is fucking bullshit. I have not paid 5 figures for coaching to learn how to do steps. I could pay a PT a lot less money for that. Like, I'm here to learn what I'm here to learn. You know,
what coaching is it?
It's an acquisitions thing.
That's
good. It's a really good coaching. There's just certain parts of it where I'm just like, this is not what I need. Again, it's the 75 hard conversation we had earlier. Yeah. Like, that's not my bottleneck.
What is your bottleneck now?
I was going to ask that. Yeah,
time management.
Time. So what are you doing on a day-to-day basis to figure that out? Is it like systems? Is it like automation? Or
it's systems, it's VAs, it's different things. Because I'm in like a transition phase now with all the offers. Like, I'm selling 5 offers at the moment. Like, I'm not going into 2024 selling 5 offers. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. Because here's the other side of it. You don't make more money selling more offers. I went for a coffee with Andrew Beatty over the weekend, and we had this conversation. It was like, you can collect 200K a month. You can collect that 200K amongst 5 offers, get paid your 10%, whatever. But if you're on one offer, you can hit bonus tiers if you collect that 200K on one offer. So you actually make less money.
Yeah.
I would have made more money in June if I only sold V-Shred, but I wasn't. You know.
So what is an offer that's actually going to keep you interested enough for you to drop the other offers? Like, is it going to be like a proven track record? Like, what are you looking for yourself specifically? Is it like, quote unquote, promising that the offer is going to, shoot up? Or is it just like, okay, it has to be established. I want to see a proven track record. What's...
I think all different offers have pros and cons. Like, again, it depends on your values, right? Like, having autonomy, where do you have to be on sales meetings every day? Do you have a lot of admin to do? Do you have to check in like a lot of different things? Or do you just show up with calls in your calendar? You take calls, you close deals, and you get paid. For some people, that's one benefit of one offer. For another offer, it could be, you get a lot of commissions on recurring revenue. So you can work hard for 3-6 months a year, and then the rest of the year you can slow down a little bit and focus on other aspects of your life, still have your income coming in. All offers serve different purposes. Biggest thing for me is fulfillment, really.
Yeah, cannot highlight how it's so funny we have to like actually ask about that and make sure that that's actually vetted out. So it's
a lot more for like business offers or anything promising an ROI.
Yeah.
Like, for fitness, for example, it's like if you do what you're told to do, you will get the result. Like, that is a fact. It's calories in and calories out. Like, if it's not working for you, you're fucking lying, right? As simple as that. So when it comes to fitness, it's like, if they're delivering on what's promised, then that's fine. But if, for example, you're selling, I don't know, affiliate marketing for 10 grand. No, let's use like stock trading for an example, right? The reason I use that as an example, or anything with e-com or anything else like that, when you invest in the program, but you also have to make a further investment in order to make money, and you close somebody on a fucking credit card that they can't afford. You sell them for an 8K package, for example, but now they have to put 10 grand into inventory to start a brand. They don't have that money. They thought they were going to make an income from what they've already paid. So like, that is an integrity issue for me. Whereas something like sales training, where once you have the skill set, it's just a case of work ethic. You don't have to buy more stuff. That's a different scenario. That's just an example when it comes to integrity and like actually making the decision, should I actually close this person, even though I can?
On that, what's actually funny? Like, before I jumped into this space, I literally got an offer to start in January. It's a pretty big offer that we're doing like $1 million plus a month in Australia. They're expanding to the US market. But the only reason I am looking to get into that offer, because I actually know the sales manager from literally 1.5 years ago when I started the Imangaji agency navigator thing.
I know what
so
this offer is.
Yes, yes. So that's the one. So I met the guy, the sales manager for, I think he was a sales manager, I'm not sure, but the main closer for Iman.
Mhm.
And he actually didn't close me because he said it didn't make sense on that call.
Mhm.
And it stuck with me because it's like, it's been just over a year and I wasn't even looking into getting into closing. So like, I mean, he could have just easily closed me.
Mhm.
And doesn't matter, right? Because I had the money for it, but it's that integrity that now I would be working with them, right? So it's like it's kind of crazy to see how so much can change in a year, and like you gotta stick to your guns because you never know. Because like I could have been the guy that would be just pissed off and wouldn't join it, or just would get on his reputation or whatever.
Yeah, this
So
is such a topical point right now because there's one offer out there that was quite a popular offer, and they held people's commissions. They said certain things, did certain things, burned certain bridges, and now they're going to be fucked. It's going to be extremely difficult for them to find good closers now. Reputation is everything here.
I know what you I know
So
what
many
you're
things
having
under the
with
rug
this.
that we all
Yeah, there's so
know
many
it's coming.
indirects on this conversation already. All the
Yeah.
private jokes, guys. Join the objection box if you want to be part of
Yeah.
these private jokes.
100%. That's a nice plug, bro. But it's like
No.
you mentioned like you don't want to show for the box, but it's just like it's an environment where you can show because like I mean I don't think any single one of us is like would regret joining the box. It's just like I mean Sam and Sean have already kind of extended the 2.0. I still have like 2 months to do it. And I know I'm gonna be sticking there with you guys for the next 6 months. So it's just like
See you there, buddy.
I mean, I just seen the amount of growth I went through as a person, not only just like sales, just closing, but it's
Yeah.
also affected my business. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think
So
sales is the best form of personal development you can do. Straight up. But on that, it's like when you see these kids who grow up and want to be fighters in the UFC, and they're from like the back ass in Thailand or something, right? When they go to the UFC, they're not fighting out of Thailand. They fly over to Las Vegas and they train with American top team, or they train with Floyd Mayweather or whatever it is, right? Because it's same in every other aspect of life. You become the 5 people you spend the most time around.
yeah,
So if you want to be the best of the best when it comes to sales, go join and be around the people who are the best of the best.
What do you do when you find yourself getting too comfortable? I guess this is kind of a more of a personal question for me, but I've got to the point where, I did 10K last month. This month, if I keep it up, I'm on course to do, a little bit less, but still pretty good. And I've kind of found myself getting comfortable, right? Starting to slack on doing the things that got me to where I should be, Did you ever find that in your journey?
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it because life has its own way of slapping back at you when you get too comfortable. So don't slack, always do the work and don't stop doing the things that have gotten you to where you are right now. Because if you do, life will fucking remind you very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
How do you know?
We're going to do the opposite of a shill here. Guys, if you're in sales and you have your money with Wise, get it out now.
Really?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Why?
Because they locked up a lot of fucking money.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I have no idea when I'm getting it back.
Jesus.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I've been waiting to get paid from Wise for like the last fucking 11 days. Still hasn't came through yet.
Yeah.
So what do you use then? What do you use then instead of Wise?
Well, I'm going full sovereign individual on this stuff now after what happened. Like the lockdowns day one already red pilled me into this stuff, but now after this, it's like you think you've escaped the matrix or whatever you want to call it by making money online or whatever it is, you haven't. So I'm going all in. I'm going to have like 10 different bank accounts and all this shit. I'm going to go to the US in Q1 and open up multiple banks and everything else and multiple currencies.
Why did you go to Dubai?
I probably will. I'll do that too.
Yeah. Okay. Did this only
One
happen
step at a time,
recently,
Johnny
did it?
boy. Yeah, like last week.
Ooh,
5 days.
damn. They were all in the buckets, were they? All broken down.
Yeah.
And what they do, they just
fuck all now.
You just woke up one day and they said that's it.
Yeah, I had an email saying, "Hey, we can't offer our services to you anymore. We've deactivated your account."
What?
I was like, "What?" Hold the fuck up. Why? You didn't provide a document. What document? We can't tell you. What? So
Was everything
why?
in there?
Damn.
a massive chunk,
Bro.
nearly everything. I'd say 90% of my net worth is in that account.
So what? You have to go through legal
Ouch.
things now, or like
Yeah, just got to look at the chessboard.
a headache? Yeah. Damn.
You know the reason why I'm not stressed? Because I know I can make more
Exactly.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got the
I
skills.
was
right?
stressed. The first day it happened, I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I'd imagine
It's
so.
like, what can you do?
Mm.
Got to look at the chessboard and just figure out what move we make next.
That's
Isn't-
what that post was about. Then
Yeah.
Nature's to attack. So,
Yeah.
it's all making
Yeah,
sense.
now you know.
Isn't it liberating though, like on in your head? Because like I mean, yeah, of course you were stressed like for a day though, but like you still come back to it and just think, whoa, shit, like whatever happens, I'm gonna make it back.
Yeah,
Money can
That's
always
like
be made back.
as long as you've got the skills, though.
Infinite resource.
You know, I've got
Yeah.
a question. So for you, James, I'm wondering, have you sold an offer that you've bought into yourself?
of course.
Oh, sorry. I mean, outside of the box. Sorry.
Technically, yes, but I sold it before I bought it.
Okay. Right.
I sold the deal making thing before I bought it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would say for anybody who's in sales and struggling to be on offer, it's one of the best ways to get on an offer. Like if you actually buy it and you actually see value from it and you actually get the result, go sell it. Every business owner would rather have somebody who's been in their program and has actually had the results than somebody who hasn't. That's an absolute life hack for you guys struggling to get on an offer. Like something you've already bought, go and sell it.
Mm.
Hear that, Shorty?
I do, yeah, I do. I'll leave that.
Shawnee definitely bought that offer you're talking about in January, Sam.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All I'll say is God is looking down on the 2E right now.
God, where's my Bible? Where's my Bible?
Ah, goddamn.
Me and God
Well, I
are cool.
think-
Me and God are cool, Jimmy. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're tight. We talk daily.
I think acknowledging that you do have another sales con coming up soon, Jimmy. One last question is like, people talk about burnout, people talk about, all that stuff. Do you like genuinely ever burn out? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I would rather just chill. I've made my money.
Well, the last part of what you said, yes, I've done that. But I don't believe in the idea of burnout, to be honest.
How do you mean?
It's like people who worry about overtraining. Like
Mm.
the people who worry about overtraining, like you do not ever need to be worried about overtraining. You are never going to overtrain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like what Shawnee said about worried about getting too comfortable. It's like life is going to teach you that either way. Right? I think with burnout, it's people who believe that putting in a 40-hour work week, who normally put in a 40-hour work week, who might take calls on a Saturday on a busy weekend. They're like, oh fuck, man, I'm burned out. Like, no, you're not. Stop.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just comes down to knowing what you want. If you're just chasing numbers for the sake of chasing numbers and you've no reason behind it, you've nothing that you're actually aiming for, then you're going to feel the emotion that most people call burnout.
Mm.
Because
Exactly.
burnout for me is like when your body starts shutting down because you're doing too much. Most of you are not in that position. It's an emotion. And if you don't have enough of a why behind what you're doing, it's like, why the fuck? Like, what's the difference between me making 20K and making 50K?
Yeah.
Not much. Like, nothing changes, really. It's just more
Mm.
money. What are you going to do with it? Get it fucking locked up in a bank account. Great. What use is that to you
Pretty
now?
much. Yeah.
Right? It's like if you know what you want to make money for, if you know you're saving for, I don't know, a real estate portfolio so that you can get your time back and spend time with your kids, you're not going to burn out because you have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything
Mhm.
else.
And actually, I was lying. Wasn't the last question because you kind of touched on something. real last
I'll
question.
stay on
because
until he gets in the waiting room. We're all good.
Oh, good. So like for Jimmy Hayes, right? Like what is what is next? Like what are you thinking of doing? Like do you want to go like the personal brand route? Do you just want to keep scaling that? Or...
Yeah, it's something I definitely haven't put enough attention on. It's something I was very consistent with it a few weeks ago, but again, haven't been reaching my standards. So definitely need to double down on it. Because there's so many things I want to do, man. Like, and it's not just in terms of business. Like, a big reason for me moving to Lisbon, as I said before, is to learn how to surf. And I've been doing it as much as I can. So like, and this again comes down to knowing what you want. Do you genuinely want to be the person making 50K a month, or would you rather actually work half the hours and make 25K and go live your life? There's no right answer. Everybody says that they want the money, but a lot of them are not willing to put in the sacrifices it takes to get that money. And then it comes down to the question you need to ask yourself: is the sacrifice worth the reward for you? Is the sacrifice to make 40K over 25K worth it to you? No right answer, no wrong answer. It just depends what you want.
I love those conversations because it's like even us asking you those questions, kind of like so some of the things we ask on the sales call, right?
Yeah.
So it's
because life is sales, man. 100%.
Yeah, it is.
Just human to human conversation.
And what I've learned, I think the most is like, it's not necessarily just sales, it's just like good conversational skills. And that's why we ask specific questions, because that's how you get to know a person better.
Yeah.
So
100%.
With that in mind, boys, any actual last questions?
No,
for
I'm all good.
Yeah. So I think we'll just wrap this up. Jimmy, any last sort of maybe you want to plug yourself, maybe you want to plug the box.
We'll plug his links
All the way
in
up
the
to-
description.
Yeah, you can plug my links. You can plug my affiliate links.
Yeah.
I would say to anybody who's watching this, I know your audience is a lot of right now because it's more of a new thing. There's more people who know you guys, but as things grow, like you're going to obviously reach more and more people who are a bit newer to the space. And for me, like I'm always going to echo the message that kept me in the space is like, you haven't failed until you quit, no matter what you do.
Sure.
Like if you look at your life if you genuinely look at your life as a chessboard and like take the emotions out of it, it's like, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
This is the situation I'm in. This is where I want to go. What's my next best move? And if you just focus on one move at a time, you'll always get to where you want to be. Time takes time.
That's fucking powerful. Well, Jimmy, I appreciate you jumping for this call.
Pleasure, Jimmy.
With us.
That was good fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll have to get the other bald
Likewise.
guy in now. So
Yeah, good luck catching him. That fella's impossible to catch. All right.
So
Come on, guys.
just pause
I'll
the
jump. I
recording.
love you, Lily. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
See you later.
Take care, buddy.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.